was dealing with some of the concepts we learned in the previous lessons. So in this first one, Robert, a baseball pitcher, won 80% of the games he pitched. If he pitched 50 games, how many did he win? So he pitched 80% of the games that he pitched. So if he pitched 50 games, he won 80% of 50 games. So that looks very, very similar to the things we've been doing. So let's make of multiply. And then let's convert this percent into a decimal. So then we have 0.80 times 50. So I'm going to take my calculator and put in 0.80 times 50 equals 40. So 40 games. And we can go back and double check how many games did he win? Yep, 40 games. That makes sense. So this next one, Jerry, an electrician, worked 7 months out of the year. What percent of the year did he work? So what percent of the year? So he worked 7 months out of the year. So how many months are in a year? Well, 12. So he worked 7 of the 12 years. So that's a good fraction, 7 over 12. So, but we want a percent. Well, we know how to convert a fraction to a decimal, and then we can convert that decimal into percentage. So 7 over 12, so I can divide 7 divided by 12, gives me 0.583. So we talked about converting from a decimal into a percent. We move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So if we wanted to go from a decimal to a percent, we would move 2 places to the right. We do the opposite. So 1, 2, and we have 58.3%. All right, we're going to do one more together, and then I'll give you some examples. All right, so we have one more example. There are 28 students in a class. 16 of them are men. So what percentage of the class are women? So in this one, we want to do the same thing we kind of did before. We want to create a fraction, convert it to a decimal, convert it to a percentage. So in this one, we have 28 students, 16 are men. So if 16 are men, the rest of them are women. So if we say 28 minus 16, so 12 students are women, are females. So we can make that a fraction, 12 of the 28. So we want to go fraction, decimal, percentage. So in this one, we have a fraction. Divide it to make a decimal, 0.43. Because I'm going to round up. It says 0.4285. I'm going to round that 8, and that bumps it up to a 43. So then if we want to make it a percentage, we just move 2 decimal places to the right, opposite of converting to a decimal. So this becomes 43%. So 43% of the class are women. All right, so I'm going to give you 2 examples to do on your own, and we'll review them together. problems might have seemed a little difficult. But what I want to show you is the things in these problems are exactly as simple as the stuff we've done before. One math equation and that's it. So a metal bar weighs 8.15 ounces. 93% of that bar is silver. How many ounces of silver are in the bar? So we have 93% of 8.15 ounces is silver. So we have 93% of 8.15 is silver, which is our answer. That's what we want to know. So I can do the same thing we've been doing before. Make the of, multiply is equals, and then convert this into a decimal. So we have 0.93 times 8.15. And I can take my calculator and I can do that as a problem. What I want you to realize with this is that if you can say some percent of something is your answer, those of and is, okay, I'm going to multiply and it's going to give me my answer. So when I multiplied those, I got 7.5795. So I'm going to round that up to 8. And this is ounces. So again, if you look at that, all of that became one equation, which we did before. Something easy to put in your calculator. So what you got to do is you got to sit and think. Do I need to circle certain numbers? Say it out loud in my head. 93% of 8.15 ounces is silver. Oh, in my head, that makes sense. I can make that into an equation. So same things with this one. A woman put $580 into a savings account for 1 year. The rate of interest on the account was 6.5%. How much was the interest for a year? So if we think back to this, interest is a percentage of the total amount you put into a bank account. So if she put $580 in, we want to know what 6.5% of that total is. So we want 6.5% of $580 is what? So I'm going to do the same thing. Make this multiply, convert this into a decimal. So we have 0.065 times 580. So I can go ahead, put it in my calculator, 0.065 times 580. And that gives me 37.70. And that's in dollars. So that's it for word problems. In the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about probability for the last lesson of this unit.